good. Yeah, it looks great on camera. All right, let's get it. So today we got top 16. Got Evyn. We're coming here with his deck profile from the Lexington Regional. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, so I played Branded Despia. The list is fairly standard. It was the pack mesh combination list that they played for their Iron Man, or at least my take on it. So played 3 Aluber in this list. Pretty good. Not too much to say about it. 3 Tragedy. I know most people are on 2.
Yeah, that's different. I don't see 2.
3 was fine. I like being able to reset my openings and like branded and reds. So having the additional one wasn't bad, but going forward, I'd probably end up cutting this card to 2. Same with the Aluber. You really just don't need 3. I was just kind of playing it safe, so I opted to go with 3. Played 3 Albaz. So in this deck, you have the option of just hard drawing this card and polying it into the fusions. So playing 3 wasn't really a brick.
Did you ever draw multiples? Because I seen multiples like play 2, and it's
I drew 2 a couple times, but it was actually kind of irrelevant because I was able to just like poly it off and then just summon for effect and then do it again. So like 2 actually was kind of okay. It didn't feel like a clog as much as I thought it might.
And it's pretty clutch in the mirror matches too.
Yeah, the mirror just kind of blows out. I actually had a play where I had to send a Titanic Lad off of Mirror Jade and summon this in the end phase and just super poly my opponent's board before it passed back.
Oh,
so like 3 was really nice. Outside of that, Brave cards, the Aqua Chick standard. I played 2 Chains. This definitely should have been 3. Going forward, it will be 3. It turned into some kind of awkward resolving cards in the deck. So going forward, it will be 3, but 2 worked out pretty well. And then for one-ofs, we just played 1 Snow. Great target to send off a branded fusion.
It's because it's a light.
Yep, make Albion the hard way, have Disrupt. One of my matches against Dragon Link, I had sent this off a fusion, and he kept trying to make a board through it, and it just kept coming back and disrupting his plays. He just wasn't getting there through it.
Can't link with a face down monster.
Yeah, no,
so unfortunate.
It was put in a lot of work today. I was actually really impressed by this card, but it's always been broke.
Did you resolve it against Prank Kids at all?
Surprisingly, no. In all of my Prank Kid matches, and I played 4 of them, this card never came up, but
that card is kryptonite to Prank Kids. I dare you normal summon.
They always seem to have a way around me interacting with their normal summon anyway, so I probably should have sent it just to have an additional thing to interact with them, but I still won 3 out of 4 of my matches against Prank Kid Brave, so it was fine. Other one-ofs, played Branded Lost Targets, the Albion.
The free draw. Yeah,
free draw. Cycles a card, sends an opening to protect your fusions. Pretty standard. I like this card a lot. Drawing it was nice because I knew I got a free cycle. Mercurier.
Now talk about that guy.
This card was surprisingly really good. Like just him being an extra hand trap that you can search off a Lost going into your opponent's turn or on your opponent's turn was just really good.
I've been hearing about it.
I had several opponents that knew I added this card, and they just would play right into it and just.
Did you forget I have this?
Yeah, just get blown out by the hand trap that they knew I had on top of everything else that was coming on the field. Also, being able to banish it off Snow to add another card with Albaz or an Albaz himself is relevant.
Pretty good.
So you make your Snow banishes a little bit more impactful. He was really good. I like him. Other one-ofs, 1 Adlib, standard, and 1 Griffin.
No hand traps?
No hand traps, all gas.
Oh my god. They said Wayne Brickett on these hand traps.
Yeah,
hand traps booty.
Didn't need them. The rest of the deck is pretty much just spells. So we play the 3 Patchwork, part of the engine, standard. 3 Opening. The only kind of board breaking card we played was the Droplets. The card was insane. Just shut down some of the Prank Kid Brave boards. Had a guy that tried to blow me out with Baron effects, try to blow me out with like DPEs, and you just
nope, not today.
Card was great. Probably wouldn't change it. I know some people were citing it. I think it's worth noting. 3 right, also standard. 3 fusion, of course.
The God card.
This card's should all fusion for the new age. This card is broke.
It's like, let it resolve if you dare.
Yeah, it never got ashed, which was crazy to me, but
regional, it never got ashed.
yeah, never got ashed. So we got a little lucky, but I was always typically putting up like a Griffin or some kind of interaction before slamming this. I think maybe only one round that I have to say screw it and just slam fusion, see if it goes through. But it went off and it just nets you a ton of advantage. This card's insane. And following with that, the other insane spell card, Brandon Red. Resolve this card every match, every game. Chimera's really, really good.
Chimera be broken.
Chimera that they can't respond to is even better.
That hurts, actually.
Yeah, this card was just amazing. 2 was fine. I know some people tried to play 3 and like playing 3. I don't really think you need to see it in your opening hand, so 2 was great.
Because you search it throughout your combo.
Yeah, it's just not a starter card. I'd like it to be in the deck. We also played 2 poly, also part of the Fright First stuff. And the rest were one-offs, so 1 foolish can get your deck going. Also can send snow if you just need to start getting in there, and if your graveyard's big, you can just send snow, start banishing for interruptions and whatnot. 1 called by, 1 Draco back, 1 faithful, and then the 1 loss.
We'll talk about Brandon loss. Can we say some lists play it, some lists not play it?
So I think this card has to be in the main deck now. This card is insane.
Meltdown.
Have you ever heard of Meltdown?
I had a 5 chain link chain off of this card that my opponent couldn't respond to, and I went from like 2 cards in hand to like 7 cards in hand on his turn, and
The advantage.
it was just crazy advantage. It was like it didn't matter because I knew he couldn't kill me that turn, so it was like you got to pass back, and I'm gonna just blow you out.
This is why we need IO back.
This card was this card was just insane.
Wait for Mystery.
It also just adds a monster with Fallen of Albaz in the text, or Fallen itself.
So you can add your draw, which is the
so-
dragon, or you can add another monster in your game.
Yeah, so you can add the Mercurior or you can add the Albion. Going forward, I may test a Ecclesia the Virtuous, because you can also add this, or you can also add that off this. So that might be something I change going forward, but we'll see.
What's your main deck count?
Main deck count was 43.
43? Not bad. 43 seems to be everybody's number.
I've been saying like 45 or lower.
I like 45.
It was pretty solid. I don't know. I couldn't really complain about 43. I thought it was going to feel a little bit more bricky, but it wasn't too bad. Extra deck was pretty much standard for most of the Despia lists, I think, at this point. So we played 2 of the Lubellions. Card was pretty great. Played 2 Albion. I don't know if I want to bump this card to 3 or not. It's because you're playing the snow, sometimes you hard make it, and I like being able to send 2 off of Mirror Jade just because it kind of comes up, but that might just be me being greedy. So you might not need the 3rd, but I might test with it just to see how I like it. Speaking of, played the 2 Mirror Jade.
Mirror Jade be broken. Give me that bandage.
Yeah, that card put in a lot of work. Just being able to net advantage and then just interrupt your opponent on their turn is gross. And on the same note as that, Guardian Chimera.
Oh my god.
Being able to summon this off of Brandon Red on your opponent's turn to disrupt them is disgusting.
So, on Guardian Chimera, how many times were you popping stuff? And how many times, like, what were you rather pop 1, draw 2, or you draw 2?
I think every single time I resolved this card during the tournament, I think outside of one time, it was always a draw 2, pop 1. When I played against Eldritch, that was the only time I swapped it, and because he set 3, so I swapped the way I played it and turned into a pop 2, draw 1. I just needed to get his cards off board. Honestly, MVP of the extra deck, Masquerade.
Masquerade said you better pay them life points.
That's great. It says burn
The
yourself.
match I played against Dragon Link, I summoned this and I watched him burn himself down from 8K to like 12. And
Yeah, you can't do that.
I was like, well, I didn't have to do any. I didn't even have to go to battle phase.
Kill yourself.
Yeah, this card put in a lot more work than I thought it would.
Would you play any more? Or you think two's fine?
2 was fine. I had it at 1 originally, and then the more I thought about it, absolutely
You
not.
get the second.
Yeah, the more I
make
thought
2.
about it, 2 was definitely more correct than 1. So I'm glad I made the change to bump it back to 2 before the event. The last of the extra deck is pretty much one of those. Titanic Lad. Like I said, this came up to send and Super Poly
Get that free Alabama fusion at the end of the turn. He said, "You thought I was done? I'm gonna take that monster and my monster make another one."
Clearing off 1 additional card off board with the summon off of this card is really good. Also, he can just get huge if you ever need to summon him. We played 1 Dregacipelia. I never did the combo to make this card. I think I hard made him a polymerization one time. That was about it. But he was just, at that point, he was just the 2700 I needed to game my opponent.
A little extra damage in.
Yeah, his effect never came up, but he was still kind of relevant. Last fusion is Q Artist.
Do you ever make that?
Never made it, never thought about making it. If I play 3 Albion, this is probably the card that's getting cut. There just never seemed to be a point when I wanted to make this card, or I thought that he was better than any other play that I could do.
Card bad into other fusion meta.
I'm not real sure if he's going to stay in there. Yeah.
So the big Despia monster, the one that requires like 3.
Proskinian.
Yeah. What do you think about him? I don't remember what he
think that
does.
card is really good, but only if you're playing Super Poly, which I am not. So when I was playing a different variant, it was in here, but since I took the Super Polys out, I opted to cut the Proskinian. It is a good card, but it would be really, really hard to make him, so I didn't want to have to like overcommit to a card and it just get blown out or something by my opponent.
Yeah. Makes
Last 2 cards in the extra deck are the 1 Link Spider and then the Verte. Link Spider is just for if you ever get nibbed. I think I got nibbed 1 time the entire tournament. You mostly play underneath nib.
Yeah, about
during
4 summons, something like that.
So like he usually doesn't come up. I was being overly aggressive and I played into a nib the 1 time against a Prank Kid player. It didn't matter. I turned the token into that and then went into the Verte and kept playing.
Made Verte said, "I'm not done yet."
So yeah, extra deck's fairly standard for most of the list.
Will there be any changes you would make to the extra deck?
Yeah, I think really the only changes might just be I might cut the Q Artist and it might be a 3rd Albion. That's really the only change I can think of right now. There hasn't been anything else that seems like it might come up and be super, super relevant. Also might just keep this card because maybe it just was a thing where I didn't see the matchups where I saw value in this. So they might be there, I might have just not seen them on Saturday. Then the side deck was kind of weird and it was thrown together. It worked out, but I definitely would have some changes with it. So we played the Necro World, Zombie World package. I didn't play any Flunder.
Didn't see a single bird.
No birds, so these never got sided in, never came up. In theory, they're good. That was one of the
Theory crafted.
I was on this combo for a while. I kept trying to tell people this is probably the side for Flunder, and I put it in and there were no Flunder. So that's usually how it is. For back row decks, we played the 1 Duster and then 2 Twin. This all came up against Eldritch.
How many Eldritch matchups did you?
Luckily just 1, but the one that I did have, I opened Twin Twister Red Reboot.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, with a DD Crow for his Lord, so it was like he was
Scoop it up.
He was not playing.
It was a little bit of a blowout into that game.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it was a good match.
Was it you, Tyler?
But yeah, we got in there on that one. Thankfully, I don't like that matchup, so I was really glad to see those cards. Like I said, 2 DD Crow. I really wasn't big on hand traps, and this might be a change that I'd make. I'd probably bump this to 3 just to make my side patterns a little bit different. I would have liked to have seen this more in the matchups that I did side it in. that's one of the changes I would make. This is also another change I would make.
The lava.
The lava column. This card was insane. I wish I had been playing through these. I played against a base deck, and he ended on Baron plus Phoenix Enforcer, and he passed back to me.
I said these two right here.
I asked him if he had anything moving into the main phase. He said no. I said, all right, here you go.
Here you go. Hold this golem.
He said, no, well, that's a good card. We followed that up with a branded fusion, and that was about all for that one.
Oh my gosh, so strong.
I really wish I had played 3 of these. I'll probably end up bumping this up to 3. Also played 2 token collectors. These usually all got sided in together. I always like to see this card. Don't really feel like I needed 3 of this, but it came up whenever I put it in. It was very relevant. And then the last 4 cards, decided there can be only one, and then the reboot. This never came up. Was going beside this for both Sword Soul and Plunder, but never actually played any just straight Sword Soul, so it was never relevant. And never played the Plunder, so never came
Dodged
in.
the birds.
Yeah, never dodged the bird, so it just was like never a card that I sided in. I may end up taking it out. I might switch it up, but I feel like in theory it's fine. But if I swap up the side at all, I'll probably change up some of these ratios so I can get the 3rd Crow, the 3rd Golem. So these might end up coming out, but everything else I was pretty happy with.
I can dig it. So overall, what did you think about your regional experience and everything?
It was really good. It was my first regional playing back in quite a while. I hadn't been in any actual in-person events. I had mostly been testing and theory crafting. I really hadn't gotten to test this variant of this deck at all. I watched Pack and Nish do a theory and walk through their play lines. It was like a 3-hour video.
In-depth video.
It was like the 3-hour video on his Twitch stream, like
Inside the mind.
right before the event, and that was literally the only testing I did with this deck before the event. I hadn't actually gotten to play it versus other people going into it, so I really liked it. I think it worked out really well. The event itself was great, but yeah, just happy to be back to playing in-person events.
I can dig it. Any shout-outs you like to do, anything like that?
Definitely like to shout out TTD, best store in Kentucky, hands down. Like to shout out all my testing partners that I get to test with usually. John, Tyler, Chase, Nick.
Tyler right there, look at him. Looking great. Got Chase in the background.
Hello there.
Everybody that just kind of helps me like bounce ideas off Austin.
Yeah,
Brain.
except Dean. We don't fuck with
except
Dean.
for this guy.
Yeah, fuck Dean.
But yeah, everybody that kind of like lets me be a soundboard for like ideas and like kick some stuff around. Everybody's always great.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
No problem.